Atapu, Assalamu alaikum, Namaste, Harun Nefer. This is Qesankh Keperu with another broadcast for you. And in this broadcast, we're going to talk about how Black History Month is not for Black men. But before I do that, I want you to hit the like button on this video. If this is your first time to my channel, welcome. Hit the subscribe button to get notifications on when I go live and when I upload recorded videos. If you're interested in knowing more about my spiritual teachings, you can scroll down below and click on any one of the free ebooks. You can download them and start reading them today. If you want to move on to the next level, you can become a Patreon supporter for as little as $1, $5, $20 per month is up to you. You'll get exclusive access to instructional videos, videos on the esoteric, videos that will teach you how to contact the spirits, how to do self-hypnosis, how to create a pendulum or ergosaur to protect you, working with the ancestors, how to set up a ritual shrine. And if you are an Nasir level supporter, you'll get all your oracle readings for free. So become a Patreon supporter today. Last but not least, I want you to share this video with family and friends so we can get the revolution started. So may Buddha bless you, Harun Nefer. Before we get to the subject at hand, I want to talk a little bit about something that's very interesting. That this has been a very busy week for me. You guys don't know, like my phone just rings off the hook and I get texts like crazy. And it was to the point this week where I almost lost my peace. And I was like, what would happen if I just throw this phone out the window? I'm just so tired. And it seems like when I would like get in bed, that's when it would go off the most. Text, a phone call, a Slack, an IM. So I'm like, wow, this is a little bit ridiculous, So it's just been very, very busy because I have a lot of things I'm working on. And I'm traveling overseas this year, so I have to get prepared for that. And one of the reasons why I'm doing that is because God, via the oracles, is telling me to do that. When I made my move from the East Coast to the West Coast, I didn't do that just because I had a hunch that it would be a better life. Or I thought, like, hey, there's more opportunities for me. I didn't do that because, oh, sorry. Yeah, I keep, okay, sorry, I keep texting. All right, I didn't do that because I thought there was a better job opportunity or anything of that nature. But you see what I mean? But purely because the oracle said 14th hexagram, increase. So when you get something like that, like a 55, 14, 42, okay, I gotta turn the phone off. All right, you have to, if you're living truth, you have to obey the word of God. God is telling you that you will have financial prosperity if you move to Cleveland, Ohio. Then get up and move to Cleveland, Ohio. Don't overthink it. Trust the oracles. Just do it. And you'll find that once you do that, you'll get blessings. God is not going to lead you into a dangerous situation or lead you into a situation where you'll be impoverished. If the oracle is telling you to move to Omaha, Nebraska, move to Omaha, Nebraska. Even though you may not see the advantages, you see, you operate by two minds, the lower mind and the higher mind. The lower mind only sees the immediate, what's in front of it. The higher mind can see the bigger picture, the bird's eye view. So God is the higher mind within you. And if God is telling you, hey, listen, you need to move, there's financial prosperity waiting for you, then find some way to do it. There was a young woman I was dating, and she was an actress. I tended to date a lot of actresses. And, we had a mutual breakup. It seemed like within a week, she took off to LA. And I was like, well, wow, why'd you go off to LA? And she was like, well, I was only staying here for you. And I was only staying here for you. And I think there are better opportunities for me in LA. Well, I did the reading for her, and the reading was not good. And I advised her of that, but she moved anyway. But I admired the way that she just packed up and took the chance, which I wish it would have been better. She was experienced with the oracles too. I wish she would have followed the oracle's advice. And I had friends who would speak to her, and they were like, "Listen, if you move to the California, you're going to be a small fish in a big pond as an actress, you know." So consequently, her career is not doing well. But the oracle predicted that. The oracle was like, "No, you need to stay in the East Coast." You know, so this is why it's important that us Cometians, us Osirians, however you want to call yourself, that we obey the word of God via the oracles. This is what differentiates. I should have turned off Slack. This is what differentiates us from everybody else who are the imposters, who are the race hustlers, using the Kemetic religion to make money off people. When you work with the oracles will not only reveal to you if these people have honorable intentions, but it will give you a path in your life to follow. And you can rest assured, if you follow the advice of the oracles, you will prosper in your life like nothing you'll ever see. And I've done readings for a lot of people, and I have witnessed how if they follow the reading, things work out for them. When they don't follow the reading, things fall apart from them. So when God is telling me that I need to go here, even though I may not understand why, I still follow it. And then I will see the fruits of my labor come to fruition. And I'll know why. Because it's just like getting into a relationship, right? You don't know if that person you're getting involved with 2 or 3 years down the road is going to be an alcoholic or addicted to drugs, a gambler, a cheater. Because you're operating by the lower mind, you can only see the immediate, which is the heteru effect, the love and the flirting and the affection. But God, as the higher mind, can see 5, 10 years down the road. God may say, this person may seem okay now, but in 5 years, they're going to physically abuse you. They're going to start to physically abuse you. So be cognizant of that. Be aware of that power that you have, which is the oracle, the ability to see into the future. Like I do readings about every month. I do a reading for the year and every month. So I know what to expect. Nothing comes as a surprise. You see? You know, I know if I should have this function, this seminar, go to this lecture, you know. I wanted to do another seminar this year. The Oracle was like, don't do it this year, not this year. Now, almost 2 years ago, I did a reading about doing a lot of functions, and the Oracle kept saying no, no, no. And I didn't realize, why was it just keep saying no? What's going on here? Until I got witness to what we see now is the pandemic. And it was trying to warn me that this was coming down and I need to prepare for it. And I shouldn't have any type of seminar or anything like that. You know, given people need to be 6 feet apart, and things of that nature. So I want you to make use of this power and this tool of the oracles. It'll never fail you. And for those of you who are new, there are many different types of oracle. There's tarot, there's I Ching, which we use. There's the Meduna Tear, there's the Ifa, you know, there's runes. So take your pick. And inevitably, you should settle what you're comfortable with. Okay? So one of the things that I see as a key, and this is kind of turning to a different subject now, is I've been communicating with all of you through emails, and I love responding to you guys. If I haven't gotten back to you yet, please be patient. I get a lot of stuff coming in. You know, I love when you guys share your story, and if you need help, you know I'm always here. Just write me. I will get back to you. And I see a lot of people who are distressed because of financial issues. I want you to understand that everybody's going through that. You're not alone. But I want you to do something, and that is we have taken on, and I'm not saying that you guys have, but I want you to understand it's kind of prevalent, the victim mentality. We know that racism is wrong and it's kicking our butts and we are victims. Yes. But too many of you have become complacent in your lot in life. And so with that, I want you to think about leveling up. That's very important. You see, when you feel that there is a door closed, an avenue of opportunity closed to you, then make another one. Hurukuhuti is known for making a way where there is no way. And this is what I mean by leveling up. If you feel that, hey, you know what, I used to work at the post office. Well, that's not a good example, but I'll just say that. And I got laid off, so I got no work. Then level up. Start looking at doing something that's a step above that will pay more. Too many people are comfortable in their positions. Now, I know everybody's saying, well, I don't have the skill set to do anything else. Well, then learn a new skill set. And along with this, it becomes start looking at avenues of opportunity, new jobs that pay well. And while you're working those jobs, look at having another line of income, which is probably being entrepreneurial. Don't depend on that job, because for people of color, you're like the last hired and the first fired. And it's not a myth. Corporations are very, very racist. And they, in a lot of cases I've seen, only hire people of color is because they're forced to by affirmative action and things of that nature. Otherwise, they would commit all types of grievances or close their door to diversity. Well, now one of the great things is diversity is in. And I can remember a time when I was young watching TV and there were no people of color in commercials or TV. We had only a handful of TV shows, no commercials now, but a handful of TV shows of color. And I think one was What's Happening, and the other one was Sanford and Son. And those were the staples of our representation on television. But now diversity is everywhere. Madison Avenue is picking up on this and they're moving with it. Now, as I use this as a bridge into the subject matter, we have to be cautious about what's happening. So for those of you who feel you don't have any skill set, or you have been laid off or you lost your job, this is an opportunity for you to learn something that's new and to level up. I took 6 months off my job to learn programming. And then eventually with that, I dumped it and decided to become a project manager. But that programming skills still stayed with me. And I used that to leverage increase in pay when I went for my project manager role. Even though you don't need to know code, I said, well, I know HTML and such, JavaScript and such. And that gave me an advantage. So I want you to look at this time of crisis, of turmoil, and say it's the best of times and it's the worst of times. Charles Dickens. It's an opportunity now for you to shift and to better yourself, better your income, better your character, better your spirituality. Learn that new skill. If you're staying home, meditate more to work on your character. And then when the time comes, you'll be promoted, you will be recognized. When I stayed home 6 months and learned programming, my first job as a project manager paid very, very well. I was kind of shocked. And I loved it. I got into it. I didn't know if I would like it. The Oracle said, go for it. And I did. So I want you to start thinking about leveling up. Get passionate about that. Stop accepting your station in life. Don't get laid off get laid off from UPS and then go to FedEx. Level up. Get to a point of where you'll get a job where they value you and you can use your mind. You can use your mind to climb up that corporate ladder or what have you to increase your pay. Now, I want you to make sure that all of you check out my 6-figure PM program. That is an avenue to level up. If you want to make a 6-figure salary, start looking into that. That will help you. It may not be for you. You may decide, well, I don't want to do that. I'd rather do cybersecurity or something. That's totally fine. But just understand the principle of what I'm saying here is that don't accept your station in life. Become better, become more than what you are now. I had a house, and I have a house in the South, and I was renting to a tenant. I think I rented to him about 12 years or maybe. And then I decided to kick him out. And he was basically pleading to let him stay. And I said, well, how old are you? Are you like, he's like in his late 50s. And I said, well, I'll give you an opportunity to buy the house, to purchase the house if you want. And he couldn't afford to do that. I said, well, you've been living your life for 50 some odd years. And if you're not in a position to purchase this house or to afford the rent increase, that's your fault for not leveling up. That's your fault. That's not mine. And sure enough, when I kicked him out, he moved into like a 1-bedroom place in somebody's house. He was renting the room. And I said, after 50 whatever years, you mean to tell me you're not going to be able to move into your own house, that you have to rent a room? This is because he was complacent. He was satisfied. And then when I came along and pulled the rug from under him, he had no safety net. Hey, Maurice, Haru, hey, Hatapu, how's it going? So he had no safety net. But you can't blame that on me. In the same way, and even though I learned the skill of being a 6-figure PM, and I was hired by these big advertising agencies, I always had a sideline business. I always had my business on the side. So if the bottom dropped out, I still had a safety net. I had something I could fall back on, which is my business. But too many of us rely on a job, and that's all. And we can't do that now, because let me tell you something. When I started out, and people don't realize I'm older than I look, there were no computers. There was no internet. But I even started a business back then because I understood that I didn't want to work for the rest of my life. I understood I wanted to be my own boss, to travel, to have some freedom. So this year, I want us to start focusing on financial increase, leveling up. I think that's very important. And this is why I do my rituals so much. And one of the main rituals I focus on is wealth building. I do a ritual for that almost every day, and it pays off. Because remember, we are manifesting beings. You manifest things in your life, whether good or bad. And because you're not using it consciously, you are manifesting things that are detrimental to you. Because the ruling elite, the oligarchy, have placed all the subliminal suggestion around you, which creates corruption in your life, poverty. And I can give you examples in terms of the everyday language that we use, that we manifest these scenarios. Like when we say good, you ultimately have to buy into the bad. And Tahuti tells us nothing has a quality in and of itself. We impose a quality upon it. Because essentially, who we are is consciousness, and consciousness has a free will. That means we don't have likes or dislikes. See, when you grow, when you spiritually elevate and go beyond the likes and dislikes, you don't label something on occurrence as good or bad. You know it's really neutral. Therefore, when you subscribe to that as being neutral, then you cannot manifest a bad situation. But if you subscribe to something being good, then the opposite polarity is bad, and with good comes bad. So you're opening the door to having bad experiences, which is why we practice Meneb and Ankh and Ma'at, stilling your heart to live truth, because we don't want to have knee-jerk emotional reactions to things, because when you do that, you tie an emotion upon something, and then your conscious or subconscious mind goes to work to manifest that in other situations in your life. So you must be careful of the definitions you're buying into, because it can be very harmful to you as a reality generating machine. I remember we did a big deal, a business deal last year, and a lot of money came in. So my lawyer, there's there's a couple of lawyers I had. The law firm called me saying congratulations. I think it was two big deals we had. Yeah, it was two. Um, I'm not gonna go into the details of them, but they called me and they were congratulating me. Um, the wire transfer worked. Everything went into my account, and they asked me if I would attend their law office to pop the bottle of champagne, and all that kind of stuff. I said, no, it's all right. Just wire the money in my account and I'll be happy. So everybody texts me, congratulations, congratulations. But I was centered. I was stoic. And even though it was a large amount of money, I just acted like it was nothing. It was a regular day to me, because I knew I didn't need to attach a value onto that. And because my destiny talks about, and this is very, very important, to take, and this is from the I Ching, take neither gain nor loss to heart. Take neither gain nor loss to heart. So I have to make sure I'm living, I'm living truth. Not excited about these. When we finished my movie, everybody was celebrating. I just sat in the corner by myself eating my veggie sandwich and just chilling. Producer said, "Aren't you happy?" I'm like, "Yeah, it's cool. I'm happy." But I'm not going to allow myself to have an emotional outburst over something like that. I'm remaining stoic. This way, when I practice that, when an event comes along that I may perceive as a negative event, I won't react to it. I'll be stoic, because you want to be centered at all times. Because life is not going to construct itself to make you happy. It's not going to move events and things in place to make you happy. But you can do that as a magician, as a magi. You can manipulate reality to move things in place to favor you. But be careful, because if you start getting too excited over this magic stuff and how it's blessing you, then you must also understand, if you feel that these things are happening or good, then you are also going to manifest bad. So you better be ready. So why not just meet these things as they come along, whether good or bad, being centered? And practicing that Menem and Ma'at. This is what our ancestors practice. So let's focus this year on financial prosperity. And even if that means taking a little bit out your check and put it in a savings account, so that maybe in the future you can invest in stocks or start a business, even if it's that small, then do that. Or if it's buying cryptocurrency, getting involved with that, or stocks, whatever. I just accidentally was walking in the store and I picked up this action figure, and it's from the movie called The Thing. And I was like, wow, this is interesting. And it was just sitting by itself for like 25 bucks. And I purchased it. And I went home and I was like, I wonder if the toy company come out with any more characters from the film. And I looked it up. What I paid $25 for was being sold online for $100. And I was like, no way. I didn't know this thing was kind of rare. And I picked it up in a store, Target, for like 25. And now it's online, eBay and everything for $100. I'm like, whoa, didn't know that. So if you want to collect art, what have you, it's up to you. But have something going on to where you can gain financially. And if this situation that we've gone through in the last couple of years have taught us anything, and that is not to rely on our 9 to 5s. You have to have a side gig going on. So anyway, I want to get to the topic at hand, which kind of relates to what we're going to be discussing now, because when you connect to the Akashic records, connect to Huti, God's wisdom, you start to download information, and you can literally see into the future, predict things before they happen. And I've always been ahead of the curve and have tried to warn people about where things are going. And the unfortunate part about us is because we're in survival mode, we don't have the ability to react to things as they happen, or react to things prior to them happening. We always are, in other words, when all is said and done, when something has already transpired that's detrimental to us, then we tend to react. But we need to be more proactive and looking at the ruling elite's plan and what they have in store for us and try to put together countermeasures. Otherwise, we won't be here in the near future. And already they've got that set up that we're not going to be here in the near future. What you will begin to notice going into Black History Month, February. By the way, February 22nd is my birthday. So if y'all want to send me some presents and all that, you can feel free to do that. But anyway, moving into February, Black History Month, the oligarchy has already got a plan in place and they have been preparing for it. You see, they have slowly been stepping up their attacks on Black men, so that you see Black men as the villain, evil, the rapists, the pillagers, and they have infiltrated feminist groups, the LGBTQ, for the purpose of using them to attack Black males. Now, how in the hell, if you are a Black feminist, can you conclude that patriarchy is the problem? I don't know how you pull that Jedi mind trick off. And it's so obvious what the ruling elite is doing, is that they're indoctrinating these Black women into feminism, the LGBTQ communities, and using them to attack their own men, Black men, by saying that the patriarchy is the problem, and therefore, because they idolize white women, they use the talking points of white women, looking at their men and saying, you're the problem, you're part of the patriarchy. Never mind that Black men have been oppressed, have been shot down in the streets, have been castrated, have been hung, who are not in positions of power in this country. So Black men cannot oppress you. So I don't understand how you jump through all those hoops to conclude that Black men are the problem because they're enforcing toxic masculinity and toxic patriarchy. How do you come to that conclusion? Because it doesn't logically make any sense. See, I've always said this, that Black women should legally, through the judicial system, go after white men for rape, pillaging, and forcing them to birth biracial babies, and not giving Black women claim to the plantation, which is their right. Because if Black women are having these children by the slave master, then those inheritance of the plantation belong to the children. So it is interesting that this movement has not held accountable white men, but have been used to attack Black men. So if you're a Black feminist, I'm okay with that. But use your affiliation to attack white men who have put together a system of patriarchy, oppression, subjugation, rape, pillaging. Stop using it to attack your own men who are the underdogs in this society. Thank you, Michelle. I appreciate the super chat. Duawu. Go after these white men for the money that they owe you from the plantation, which made lots of money. Go after these white men for raping you, assaulting you and your man. Go after this white man for crimes against humanity and not recognizing you as a human, but 3/5 of. Why are you taking on this label of feminist to only attack Black men, but never once leverage your position to hold accountable those who are in power on a global level, who are the architects of white supremacy and racism? What we see now that's happening is the same old technique of divide and conquer. So you have now the ruling elite dividing up Black people. You're ADOS, you're African, you're Haitian, you're Dominican, you're Brazilian, you're Colombian. These lines of demarcation, and then pitting these groups against each other, just like they are the authors of feminism and the LGBT community, and they are infiltrated them and using them primarily, and BLM, Black Lives Matter, to attack Black men. And this sinister thing about their plan is they're elevating Black women to a position, certain Black women, to a position to where giving them power so they can use that power to attack Black men. And the way they're using this is that they're giving these Black women positions, and you're going to see it's happening a lot in TV, motion pictures, publications, magazines. But you must fit a certain criteria, you see. Like, for example, if you look at a TV show and they're now featuring prominently a Black woman, she's going to be dating a white man, or she's going to be in a lesbian relationship. Because they have an agenda they're promoting, which is to desaturate the Black race. This is all coming out of what has already been done and is going on within the white structure, where white women are being elevated and white men are being attacked. Same playbook. So what they're doing for Black history is very conniving, very sinister, is that they're making Black history not about Black men and women, but about Black women. By authoring new TV shows that feature only Black women, by putting Black women on magazines. And what they want to cause is animosity, strife, friction. And they want to use these Black women given those positions, because they come with strings attached, use these Black women to write articles and movies that degrade Black men, that portray Black men as rapers, the problems with society, evil, that the Black woman's woes in life are caused by the Black male and his excessive masculinity. So what they want to do is they want to make Black history about Black women and not men. And they're slowly doing this incrementally. They won't do it all at once, because you'll notice it. And so they're slowly doing it. Oh, let's put a Black woman on the bill. The bill, our currency. Let's put another Black woman on a coin. Oh, let's put a Black woman on the magazine. what's her name? Shonda Rhimes. Just put her on Time magazine. And now if you start arguing, well, you disagree with what they're doing, then they label you as against the Black woman or you're against women. And then they use the feminists to attack you. But when you say, I have no problem with them putting a woman who's made some strides on a magazine. But when you start to look at totality of things and what they're doing, there's an imbalance. They're rewriting history to favor these women, because eventually what they want to do is use these women to eliminate Black men, and then they will turn their resources against these Black women. That's what's going to happen, because you can't win in this situation. Getting these token promotions and these journalism positions and them allowing you to write for prestigious magazines to attack Black men is the setup for your fall. Using you to eliminate Black men from Black history. They're using you. You guys take a minute to hit the like button, please, and donate to the channel if you can. I would appreciate it. Now, they know that Black men don't have the resources to defend themselves, nor do they have the power to defend themselves. But interesting enough, Black men don't have any positions of power to do anything to defend themselves, but yet the Black feminists say Black men are the ones in power and oppressing them. There's a conflict in that thought process. But this is what they've been taught, the rhetoric they've been taught to say, that Black men are the problem. Do you see? Thank you for the chat, the super chat. Sekar Nefertara, much appreciated. Dwalu. So you are the number one target, Black man. And if you don't do something soon, it'll be too late. You see, you already see commercials on TV where they have a proliferation of Black women with white men in commercials and things of that nature. But how many times do you see a Black man with a white woman? Because they want to water down the race. And watch, and you'll know that what I'm saying will come to pass. They're going to slowly remove Black men from Black History Month. You'll see it this year a lot, and then next year, even more. Like the film Harriet Tubman, where they created a fictionalized character, a Black man, who was trying to kill Harriet Tubman. The character never existed. It was never part of their true history. But they had to write that Black man so that young Black girls would go to the movie theater and see the Black man as the enemy. These feminists who are attacking Black men don't have a leg to stand on. But like Hitler used propaganda against the Jews by repeating it over and over again, the ruling elite know that if they use these women to repeat the message over and over again, mainstream America will eventually accept it, that the Black man is the problem. Just like Germany fell victim to seeing the Jews as the problem. I'm telling you, you're in a dire situation because they are now using your own women against you. They are giving them these prestigious positions, which affords them the opportunity to write articles and make movies and have it be seen by a massive or read by a massive audience. A diet of evil black man. And now with Black History Month just around the corner, they're going to rewrite history to write you out of it or to portray you as the villain. Didn't we see this in Birth of a Nation, D.W. Griffith's Birth of a Nation? What was that, 1910? And it's still going on today. We still see them using the same tactics of divide and conquer, but this time they're using your own women to do it. And some in the LGBT community and in the feminist circles can see this and know it's going on and won't and refuse to participate in this slanderous attack. You have to see us as family. And what I mean by that, when I grew up with my little brother, we had the kids on the street and he would get into a fight. I would defend him. And sometimes he was wrong, but I would never chastise him in front of the other kids. I would take him home and I would talk to him and say, yeah, that wasn't cool. If there are any problems that these so-called black feminists have with black men, then you need to discuss that with black men and not write movies and publish articles, because that is propaganda, no different than what Hitler did. Take that behind closed doors and discuss that. Don't put out this propaganda for the world to see, because it's only going to be used by the ruling elite to justify their cause. We don't tend to ever see the puppet masters. Remember when I said this years ago when my channel first started, it's not that white people are the problem. It's not that black people are the problem. We keep looking at the other person as a problem, but we're not looking up to see who the true puppet masters are. So when you have these black feminists labeling black men as toxic and all this, no, it's not black men. Look up. Who are the ones pulling the strings? Some of you know this, but you're okay because it gives you these little butter biscuits and a little bit of position and extra money. This is coming, my beloved. This is coming. This is their plan unfolding, and they're doing an excellent job, as evil as they are. They have figured out a way to circumvent things going on in our community, whereas normally black men would be the protectors. So they have figured out a way to get rid of that protective mechanism. And if the men fall, whether it be the white men, the black men, then civilization will fall. Think about that. But that's what they want. That is exactly what they want. They could give a rat's ass about the philosophy of feminism, They could give a rat's ass about the LGBT community. All they care about is how can they use them to their purpose of annihilating an entire race. Slavery didn't do the job. Now they want to finish it. And they know that if they can't outright eliminate people of color through mass incarceration, they use a multitude of ways to do it. And they have figured out that one more effective way is to promote the mixing of races and the woman seeing her man as evil and the problem. And the reason why we're hip to this, but the reason why we're not responding to this and putting up our defenses is because it's coming from all sides. You see, this is the type of 360 attack. Everywhere you look, they've got every type of platform or institution on board. You go to universities, you're indoctrinated by the feminist ideology. You don't learn about true African history or Black history. You watch your TV, your Avengers and all this, and it's all about this message of so-called diversity, but it's really not diversity. It's the women making the men look stupid, incompetent. Now you have to use the right pronoun. See, this is just when you slowly accept these things because they seem innocuous to you, what you don't realize is they're breadcrumbs leading you, the Pied Piper leading you to your destruction. So the way that you win is for you to come together with your women, you to come together with your men. And take a united stand. And call them out on their BS. Call them out. Because you must bring that into the light of day. You must let the world know what their plan is and what they're doing. If not, they'll keep doing it. So please wake up. Stop this attack on one another and look up. I saw a film, by the way, Don't Look Up. It was a sensational film. I love it. If you get a chance, check that film out called Don't Look Up on Netflix. But in this case, I want you to look up and see the puppet master, the true puppet master. Haru El Ra, thank you for the super chat. I appreciate it. I like your logo so much. So we have to realize that their attacks have transformed. Their method of operation has changed. Their target has changed. Before pretty much it was just, like focusing on Black men. Now they realize that they can go around Black men, give their women prestigious titles, more employment, more positions, high status positions, and use that and use them as a proxy for attacking Black men. They have figured that out. And by them promoting the imbalance, by giving this promotion and rewriting of history of Black women during Black History Month, any Black men that call this out will be admonished by their own Black women. It's the perfect tool for them, because they sit back behind the curtain, hidden. Hidden, you see. And Haru El-Ra said something very important, because it was doing that campaign with Biden and Kamala Harris that when Black men questioned Kamala Harris's qualification to be vice president, these Black feminists came out the woodwork saying, you don't have a right to question this Black woman, even though Kamala Harris is not Black. But she used that affiliation with being Black so that she can get to office. Now she's, what is she, Asian now, Indian now? She uses the bannister of being Black when it's appropriate. Black men were called all types of names when they started to question her qualifications. Oh, you're for Trump. No, I'm for understanding the policies that these politicians stand behind. I talked to a friend about why he was voting for Kamala Harris, just inquiring. He said, oh, because she went to Howard University. I said, well, that's not a reason why you should be endorsing a candidate. Do you know her policies? But I digress. But that was just an example of how they used Black women to put in position another Black woman who is not for Black women. You must understand that. Because what did Kamala Harris do? She turned right around and worked with Biden to defund HBCUs. Let me say it again. She worked with Biden to defund HBCUs. Interesting, isn't that? So I want you just to see the plan that they're working and don't fall for it. This Black History Month, make sure there is a celebration of Black men as the defenders, as the warriors. Make sure that we recognize men in general for the builders and architects of civilization. And whenever I hear these Black feminists talk, I always have to say that you talk about Black men as the oppressors, toxic masculinity, but if you look back at African history, especially in ancient Egypt and Kemet, women were venerated just as much as men. You would see the king sitting next to his queen. Women had more rights than white European women at the time in history. Women could own land, own property in ancient Kemet. Women could divorce. Women could rule. We know because of great leaders like Queen Hatshepsut. We know that there was no sexism in ancient Africa, ancient Kemet. That women worked with men to create laws, culture, jurisdiction. It was only when we start to get into Greek and Roman society that we still see sexism take on its full might. In Africa, African women were high priestesses. What happened in another part of the world when women started to practice the occult and witchcraft? White men started to burn them at the stake as being witches. That never happened in Africa. We always saw women as the mouthpiece of God, the wisdom to go to, for the law, Ma'at, Heteru, Sekert, Osset. Which is why you turn to the Christian Bible and God is a man. And you go to African spirituality, you have many goddesses. So for these Black feminists to blame and say that Black men are sexist or part of the problem, it's totally incorrect. And that's basically white supremacist talk. That's traitorous to men who have fostered a society of equality. Black men have always fostered a society of equality. It's in our history. Women didn't have to engage in a war with us for power. We relented. We gave them power. We said, sit beside me on this throne and we will rule together. And the line of kingship shall come through your womb. We can name in Africa the great queen mothers. How many can you name in European history? Most of which were oppressed. So these women are acting out of character. And they're failing to hold those who are truly responsible for oppression in this world and subjugation accountable. And they're allowing themselves to be used and destroying and eradicating a race of people. When I did further research into the extremists of these Black feminist movement, and they talk about aborting Black male babies, you're now treading over into genocide and offending God when you spew such talk. And if you hate Black men so much, why did you birth them? Why didn't you nurture them and take care of them better? Because they are a product of your teachings. Set gave birth to Heru and nurtured him into manhood to take eventually the role of king. So these men that you so-called hate so much, you birthed them, you taught them. You have to look at yourself in the mirror then. But again, I'm not talking about all Black women, because this is not all Black women. This is a fringe group on the peripheral who are trying to make their ideology mainstream with the help of the oligarchy. Don't make Haru El Ra, don't make me laugh, please. Don't make me laugh. Um, so I just want you to go to the oracles and ask God what it is that you should be doing. What you have to do is what must you do in this very turbulent time, and look for these signs that I've given you about what they're going to do with Black History Month. Because a lot of us don't get it until it's too late. That's unfortunate. This is Qesankh Ma'at Keperu, son of Ma'at and Tahuti. Ma'at is the beautiful goddess Hedaru. Until my next video, Amin Ra.